We're committed to updating you along the way, and we are looking for new and accessible forums to do so. Over the past several months, we've seen many of the departments and the administration's senior leaders here in Guam. Council on Environmental Quality Chair Nancy Sutherland, Secretary of the Navy Ray Mavis, Deputy Secretary of Defense Dorothy Irvine, and most recently, Assistant Secretary of Defense Chip Grayson, to name just a few. Members of Congress are also visiting the island to see what they can do to help. We're making the long trip from D.C. because we want to see and hear firsthand how we can work together towards a one Guam, green Guam solution. The men and women of the Marine Corps and their families who are relocated from Okinawa will make Guam their home. You hear us speak often about quality of life for the Marines. Quality of life is not limited to on base. Quality of life means we have duty stations of choice where our military families look forward to becoming members of the community. There is no on base or off base distinction for the Marines. Guam will be their home and you will be their neighbors. Making this a win-win situation is as essential to us as it is to you. Thank you again for inviting me to speak here today.
I've got a few questions. Dave, do you have any from your side? All right. The first question comes from a student. She couldn't be here today, but she is an English major in the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences. The dean is over there, Alexandra Kerr. And she's also one of our green interns, and this is her question. It is worrisome that a small island like Guam with limited land and resources does not have a reliable and widespread recycling program. In view of the coming buildup, would the military be open to working with the local government to implement some kind of joint civilian-military recycling program, which may include support of a bottle bill, which we currently do not have?
Well, I think that the base commanders would be the ones who have to implement that. But my view is, of course, there should be an island-wide recycling program. That's something that needs to get a lot of public support for. I think that it's hard if you just impose it on people and expect that it will succeed. I think you need to build the support, and with that support, I think the military should be part of it. Let me say that one, besides doing that, and I think that I know that the landfill problems that you have on Guam lead one to the inescapable conclusion that you need to do recycling. But another part of the landfill solution is potentially, and I say potentially, is some of the the latest waste to energy technologies. Not the old burning the incinerator kind of technologies, but some of the newer ones that are being developed in this country. I know they're widely being applied in Europe. Smaller, scalable sizes that are not emitting. And I think in cooperation with a recycling program, that would do an enormous amount to both provide some green energy sources and to take care of some of the waste problems.
Thank you very much. And I'd just like to recognize Senator Jim Espaldon, who just entered. Thank you very much. We've got a couple of other questions here. Since the whole buildup was decided and agreed upon by the U.S. and Japan without consent of the governed Guam, how will the U.S. remedy the fact that Guam is still on the list of non-self-governing territories by the UN? Will the American government give this colony a right to vote on our relationship prior to forever altering our island physically and demographically? That's an easy question.
I would say that's probably way above my pay grade. Clearly, that would require diplomatic approaches from a whole lot of levels within the United States and with the United Nations, in fact. But let me say that I do think that one thing that is happening now is that there are a lot more people in Washington, D.C. who are paying attention to Guam, who are concerned, who know more about Guam now than they perhaps did a short time ago, and who are very concerned and who are interested not just in doing the right thing for the military relocations, but in fact looking at Guam in terms of potential, recognizing that an island, however far away, that is an American island with American citizens needs to have a recognition and be involved. And part of why we're all here is trying to bring that recognition home and then bring it back to Washington.
Thank you. Here's the next question. Will the U.S. government clean up the 114 toxic dump sites left over from World War II and the Cold War? It's another easy question.
I do know that we are actively engaged in cleaning up whatever there is that needs to get cleaned up. And we have requirements, we have EPA and other requirements in terms of doing that. So we're certainly doing what needs to be done there.
Thank you. The next question. If DoD or the Navy conducts a DEIS type study in the future, will you consider including the University of Guam in the process rather than just off-island consultants? And I guess that the question is really about consultants preparing the draft EIS.
There's no doubt that one of the big learnings from the draft EIS process was that we really needed to be more inclusive in even issuing the draft. I think that a lot of times the process itself sort of drives what happened. And I think in this case, there's this assumption that you do your best sort of technical work in the draft EIS, and then you get the comments back, and then you make those revisions. And that's in fact what we're doing this time. But I think there would have been fewer comments if we had involved more of the local community, and I think having done it through the university is probably exactly what would have made the difference for us, involving the university in drafting the first version, so we wouldn't have then had to go back and make as many revisions. So yeah, I think the answer is we should.
Thank you. We've got some students coming in. Great. Okay. What are the Navy's or the military's plans to protect, promote, and perpetuate the Chamorro culture as part of the One Guam, Great Guam plan?
I guess I can't speak to that very specific way. I know that in the EIS there is, we're really trying to rework what was in the draft. I think that there was a sense that we shared that the draft didn't treat what needs to be done, cultural resources, as deeply as perhaps we could have. And so I think that we'll see in the final that we have, I think, improved.